Welcome to The Ascension Show, a podcast bringing you education, news, views, and entertainment relating to alternative lifestyles and the world around us. Please feel free to write and call the show. Your thoughts, ideas, comments, and suggestions are always appreciated. You can find the podcast on FetLife.com and Facebook as Club Ascension or The Ascension Show. On Twitter, at Ascension Show or at Club_Ascend. Or leave a voicemail at 734-328-2323 and you may hear your message played on the air. So what's the subject we're fucking talking about today?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Me either. That's why I'm asking you.
I thought we were talking about bullies at first.
Yeah, but that's like old news now. Let's talk about your recent writing.
Oh, you want to talk about Dom vulnerability?
Dom vulnerability. That is it. There's a good one to go
Okay,
with.
well, we could talk about that. Well, I'll let you
that was That was a really cool writing that you wrote.
I thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It was a very, very, very tough piece to write because it's brutally, brutally honest with all kinds of shit that I would rather not admit to being insecure about, you know?
Well, let me take 5 minutes to read this writing for those that may not have you friended to it. So at least we can bring them up to speed to what we're talking about when we're talking about Dom vulnerability. Okay. And you titled it "Ugly Conversations with Myself" was the title you gave it. And it's just for those listening, it's a self-dialectic piece where he's basically talking and with the angel and the demon on each shoulder kind of thing. Where he talks to himself and answers himself. So maybe he's a little insane too, but hey, it was a great piece. All right. So it starts out, "Hey, wake up. We should talk." "Go away. I thought you were gone." "Nah, buddy. Just took a vacation. You know you missed me." "No, I didn't. Not even a little." "Aw, come on. We had some great times. I inspired you." "I could do without your sort of inspiration, thank you." So new relationship, huh?" "Yeah, so?" "Nothing. Just don't usually work for you, is all." "What does that mean? Are you implying I don't know how to care or love?" "No, not at all. I'm saying the opposite. You do both too much and end up broken by them." "Not all the time." "Every fucking time." "Bullshit." "Look, I won't argue with you. Hell, I love being proven right. Just because it doesn't always work doesn't mean it's not worth trying." "Sure, keep telling yourself that. Since when are you polyamorous, by the way? I mean, you won't even let people drive your car." "Look, I'm growing, okay? I can learn new things." "Seriously, aren't you a little, seasoned to be trying that shit? That's for the hip youngsters." "Are you saying you can't learn new things after 50? You're full of shit." "No, not at all, pal. I'm saying I don't believe you can learn this no matter what." "Well, I am." "Really? How's it working out?" "Very well, thank you for asking." "What are you like, the second boyfriend?" The term is secondary and more or less, yes. So she spends the most time with her, primary, and then a bit less with you? Yes. And that's cool with you? Yes. Is that so? And the new guy she's all gaga about, that's cool too? That's how poly works, idiot. Gotcha. Huh. She sure seems to enjoy her time with him. Did you catch all the picture posts and whatnot? I did. Of course she would enjoy spending time with him. It's called new relationship energy. Yeah, sure. So weren't you this new relationship energy not that long ago? I suppose. So where's all the happy pictures? Well, yeah, so if she spends the most time with this primary guy and second most time with this new guy, does that still make you the secondary? Look, that isn't how it works at all. I don't even know how much time is spent with each person. Sure, but you can guess. But it's cool. You don't expect much, huh? I mean, What is it, 1 weekend every 5 or 6 weeks? 4 weeks. That's so? How long since the last weekend? Okay, like 5 weeks, I suppose. Sure, next it'll be 6. Shut up. Or 7. Just shut up. Do you at least have phone calls? Of course. Oh yeah? You were doing those before bedtime phone calls because she loved hearing your voice. That's right. Had one of those recently? Well, no. Uh-huh. What happened to those? I thought she loved the sound of your voice. Well, don't you sort of wonder if she has them with the new boy now? No, I don't. Sure. Even as awful as you are, you should know love is not a finite resource. Boom! You got me. You know what it is, though, bright boy. Time, energy, attention, brain space. That's a limited pie, dude, and your slice is getting smaller. Look, I'm getting really tired of this conversation. I bet you are, because you're scared. Fuck you. Look at you. You're terrified and you damn well know it. Oh, if you're so smart, then you tell me what I'm so scared of. The truth. And what's that? You aren't new. You aren't even fun. You're yesterday's newspaper. Nobody needs it. That's not true. I am fun. I'm also solid, reliable, dependable. Yeah, solid, reliable, dependable. Sounds like a Buick. That's not what I meant. Face it, you're a Buick. Bet that makes her thighs moisten. You know what women do with Buicks? They trade them in for a Mustang. I'm not a Buick. Shut the hell up. You sure as hell ain't no Mustang anymore, bud. Face it. You ain't exciting, and she needs exciting. She may want a Buick once in a while, but only to recover from the Mustangs. She needs fire. She needs danger and excitement and relationships that destroy her, and that's not you anymore. Fuck off. Don't be pissed at me for telling you the truth. You're gonna get your heart broke. Did you use the L word yet? Yes. Oh, fuck. Too late now. The fuck does that mean? It means you aren't in control anymore. She is. She could cut your balls off and you'd figure it was just your fault and stick around. That's horse shit. No, that's what you do, pal. Or did you forget? Not anymore. Trust me, this new relationship energy crap is just mumbo jumbo for you to get hurt over and over because you know damn well there will be another one in a few months and another and another and on and on. You're going to spend an awful lot of time being solid and dependable, Mr. Buick. Look, there's this thing in poly called compersion, okay? I'm learning it. Oh? What's that? It's being happy to see your partner happy, being happy with them, enjoying other relationships, other loves, etc. So you're going to tell me you're happy to see her enjoy her time with someone else way more than you. You're happy to see her relishing bruises in places you aren't allowed to put them. You're happy with knowing you probably come third in her head 90% of the time. I'm working on it. And that's where the writing ends. That is one in-your-face, blunt, strong conversation with yourself, facing fears.
Well, and I do want to say a couple things here, Paul. Number one, it is very weird to hear someone else reading your writing because you spend the whole time with it in your head, okay?
Yep.
And your own voice coming back at you. And that's a very weird experience, man.
Yep.
But I do want to call this out and say, people, I want people who are listening to really understand something. And that is, I absolutely love my partner. And we have an absolutely fantastic relationship. These are not anything to do with her. So I am what you would consider new to poly type arrangements, like in not ethical non-monogamy. That's kind of not a new thing for me, but like polyamorous, like literally being in multiple relationship type of deal. And so there's there's a whole lot that you kind of you need to work through and process. And one of those things is when all the fears and the insecurities and the jealousies and the territoriality that suddenly you thought you were far too
tough,
evolved or tough or far too enlightened to really experience those things. And then when your partner takes on a new relationship, which your partner has every single right to do in a poly relationship, I have every single right to do the same thing. But suddenly you have to now deal with all of your shit, your own shit. So this writing was really a conversation for me to have with myself, to really sort of bring up my own shit and then talk to myself about my own shit that I've got to really deal with. The fear and the territoriality and the fear of not being enough and the fear of being insignificant and all that
jealousy and all that, all the feels.
Yeah, I think that's what somebody said on one of the posts on it. All the feels.
Yes.
And it's something that, it's a growth thing. And I think anybody who has been in the poly lifestyle, I want to say, when I first started experiencing these feelings, and this, it's a very uncomfortable thing. And I think people who are new to any kind of poly type relationships, the first time they have to go through that, it's a very new experience for them.
Yep.
And the key is to really kind of be open and let yourself feel and let yourself talk through it and let yourself process it and get to the other side of it. Obviously I did a whole ton of reading. Shout out to Paige Turner for being just an awesome resource on all that kind of stuff. One of our guests from the show before.
But let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
With all those feels that you're having to deal with and the conversation you're having with yourself, why? That's the simplest question I can ask, is why?
Why have that conversation?
Why pursue poly?
Because, so for almost 50 years, I was strictly monogamous. But in having been in several monogamous relationships, those still came with territoriality and fear and the same insecurity, all the same feelings you're going to get or have in poly. You're going to have those in monogamy too.
True. Very true.
You are literally going to have every one of those feelings in a monogamous relationship, just the same as you're going to have them in a poly relationship. The only difference is in a poly relationship, because in monogamy, the standard default practice is, I think you are falling in love with someone else and I'm leaving you and I'm going to go on to another monogamous relationship. And
serial monogamy. Yep.
Serial monogamy is what it is. In a poly relationship, in poly, you deal with it and you learn how to deal, and you learn that it's okay to have those feelings and that you don't have to walk away from the relationship, because that person is entitled to experience love in all the ways they want to, and you are also entitled to experience love in all the ways that you want to. And then you start learning the goal, as stated in the very last line. I'm working on it. The goal is every time your partner does something that makes them thoroughly happy, you are happy for them. And even if that thoroughly happy is they've found this amazing relationship with this amazing person and they're super happy about it right now, and you are like, okay, great, you enjoy that. That's awesome.
But inside you feel like you're breaking apart.
Well, I'm not going to say that that's a standard default thing. Like I said, this is my first time through that part.
I know, and that's why I'm going to poke you really good for it.
Okay, you can poke me. I thought we were talking about Dom vulnerability, not just my vulnerability.
but right now, we got you in the hot seat.
But right now, we're talking about my vulnerability.
We got you in the hot seat, so I'm going to hold you there.
Because I think the long-term payout is better. That is ultimately what it comes down to. I think the long-term payout is better because I have a partner that I value, and I want to put the work into it. And we have a relationship that I very much value, so I want to put the work into it. And I realized that there's going to come a point where I'm going to meet someone and have to, and then she'll have to tolerate all my new relationship energy and goo goo gaga shit. And she'll give back to me the good stuff, just like I give. And so it's this constant, it's this growth process of being, here's the thing about monogamy that's always troubled me. And it is literally saying, I expect one person to meet all of my emotional, sexual, companionship needs for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a very disturbing concept. That's like saying I expect one parent can raise a child just as well as two parents. And they can, but it is so much work, and oftentimes it doesn't just function. It doesn't work that way.
But can't you, because poly, not always, but generally involves the element of sexual attraction and relation. Can't you still find some of those other emotional supports, the emotional mental supports, without entering the sexual side of the relationship?
Well, yeah, friendships. You can have friendships.
Okay.
I mean, I still have friendships. I have lots of friends that I'm very close to, you know.
So I guess the point is the difference between poly and monogamy. If you can still have all those other things without the sexual relations and get those emotional attachments or mental attachments or whatever things that you need that you can't get from your primary partner, why poly?
Because
it still comes back to why.
Because what deepens a relationship more than sex?
Well, connection does.
What deepens a connection more than sex? That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
what I mean, I can't think of anything, Paul. I
really can't.
I mean, there is no more intimate connection with someone than a sexual relationship. I can't think of.
But see, I view sex differently.
It's a mechanical thing for you,
right? It's a very it's to me all the when I meet someone, all the chase, the chase. I guess that's it. The chase, the flirting, the dancing, the playing, all that stuff. That's the part that I love. The sex, okay.
But that's because you've defined it as a mechanical function,
right? I can separate sex from emotion,
and
so it's not an emotional connection necessarily.
We all can. I believe we all can. I certainly can. I mean, I'm perfectly capable of a sexual relationship with very little emotion attached to it, other than perhaps, yeah, you're not a person I hate, you know.
Right.
However, it's so much better when there is a bond between you and the person. And I'm not saying you have to be madly, deeply in love with the person. What I'm saying is it has to be a very, very connected relationship. There has to be a connection there that makes it better. And that just makes it better, in my opinion. And
okay.
And if, especially in the kink world, when you're exploring kink relationships, and especially relationships that address things like power exchange, you've got some serious trust building up and some serious intimacy built up in those power exchanges.
Right.
That is a serious relationship to begin with. And
there's many of those that are non-sexual as well.
I don't know of a lot. I mean, maybe you know more. I can't think of a lot.
I actually do know several that are non-sexual in nature.
And power exchange relationships?
Okay. Yep. Especially the MS power exchange.
Well, I mean, you know more people than I do. I don't know as many people as you do. So I just don't. I mean, more of the lot of them that I see are sexual relationships.
Right. It's just with the MS dynamic from the folks that I know, it's more centered around the service aspect and not necessarily sexual aspect. Yeah. So the sexual part isn't as important,
right?
A component in that relationship. So it just is what it is. Every relationship's different, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, I felt like maybe I just felt like it was time to explore a different relationship model. That it was time to really try something, because that was not the default model that I had been taught for all of my growing up life. to break away from the default model. And
break from society, break from what's been preached at and rammed down your throat all
well,
your life.
yeah, I mean, both consciously and subconsciously, it's taught to us. So I figured it was time to do that. So, yeah.
This makes you a very vulnerable person now as a dominant.
Well, I don't think
now you're having to examine it. No, I don't mean vulnerable in general. I mean just you're breaking yourself down and being vulnerable.
No, what I was going to say though, Paul, is I don't think this makes me a very vulnerable person. I mean, we are always vulnerable. Okay, here's the truth. We are always vulnerable people. But dominants have the luxury of hiding that behind leather and shiny belt buckles and kind of like pushing all that down. We get to present ourselves as, look at me, I'm the kick-ass fucking dumb. I don't even have feelings. I don't even have feelings. Fuck your feelings. Fuck you.
Right, all knowing, all confident, all
we
in
get
control.
that kind of bullshit luxury to do that. And we don't ever get to express any level of vulnerability because being vulnerable is considered not dominant.
Well, being vulnerable, it does exactly that. It leaves you vulnerable to be hurt.
But if you're a dom, shouldn't the first thing that you what is dom? What is dominating? Literally, what is the meaning of being a dominant? It means you're in control, right?
Correct.
Shouldn't the thing you most be in control of is your own emotional health?
Correct.
So, all I wanted to do was all I really wanted to do, and like I said, this is right. I have many things I've written I've never published, ever. All I wanted to, one of the big reasons that I did want to publish this, and I really debated whether I wanted to publish it, one of the big reasons I did want to publish it was simply because I wanted people to see that, look, dominance can be vulnerable, and it doesn't make you less dominant, and it doesn't make you less of a man, and it doesn't make you less in charge or in control. It makes you a human being.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that even dominants still have feelings. I've lived for a long time where I keep most people at arm's length.
Right. And
I found that it was easier to do that because, well, then I can't be hurt.
Right.
And that's from choices I've made in the past. Yeah, I'm dealing with all that. But the point is that you push yourself away so far for so long, you forget how to be vulnerable or what vulnerability is. And it's, the situation between me and T is kind of woke me up to that one. So it's been changing, and I'm working on it, but it's still a tough fight because for a lot of years I've been the dude with the leathers that has it all under control.
Right. Yeah. And as the other thing too is certainly as male dominance, and I'm not certainly going to speak for female dominance. They're their own thing. I can only talk from a male dominant history, and male dominance. We are always as males, feelings should be pushed down. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't express our feelings.
Society teaches us that.
Yeah, and our dads teach us that, and our moms teach us that, and whatever. But
being vulnerable when you're growing up, being vulnerable is what was the one thing you called the guy that would, his girlfriend called up in the vanilla world when you're a young kid? His girlfriend calls up and says, I want you here, Jimmy, now. And he goes running off. You pussy whip motherfucker.
Yep, exactly.
That was the biggest comment heard whenever they jumped to do something with their girl, which made, it was kind of demasculation type of thing. And so you learn through society, through your friends and all your dealings in life, that you can never appear to be weak to maintain your masculinity. And it just causes all these conflicting issues later on in life.
Sure. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, what's more dominant than for a male dominant, what's more dominant than saying, hey, what are you doing right now? Nothing. I need you to give me a phone call because you're going to call me right now. I love you and I need to hear the sound of your voice right now. I mean, what's more dominating than that? I mean, seriously, and at the same time, allowing yourself to be honest with your submissive and saying, I need you just as much as you need me.
That's the problem that I see most often, myself included. I've struggled with it. We don't take the time to be vulnerable, and that costs us in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
We're taught in relationships. We're taught to address relationships like we're taught to address business decisions or negotiate. We're taught to negotiate relationships the way we're taught to negotiate buying a car, which is the one who has the power is the one willing to walk away. And the one willing to walk away is the one who cares the less, who allows themselves to feel the least. Right. And that's what we're taught.
That falls into the belief too, the MS belief, the older guard belief that you can't love your slave.
Yeah, and I think that's bullshit.
Right. I've never agreed with it, but that is something that was taught. I don't know if it's still taught because I don't really run in those circles anymore.
Yeah, I know it was. I did not agree with that concept ever, frankly.
Right.
And I think there were pockets. I mean, I don't want to paint a picture like the old guard was a monolithic thing. I mean, it varied all around, but the general consensus was a slave was one thing and a partner was another thing, and they were different things.
A slave was property.
Yeah.
That's plain and simple. Slave is property. And it always cracked me up back in the day that, all these, well, I'm a slave. I'm aspiring to be a slave. But you're aspiring to be someone's property. You're not aspiring really high there. And I'm not saying that slaves are weak.
No.
Don't jump. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
But it's a different mindset. It's different than a normal relationship works. And unless you fully understand what it is that you're talking about aspiring to, you're getting in over your head is really what I'm trying to say, without trying to dig a hole for myself, because I probably already...
Yeah, you can edit. You might want to edit around a little bit on this part, Paul. Just pointing it out.
Yeah, no, fuck it. I ain't gonna edit it. Let them. They can be mad at me and they can send me the hate mail, and I'll try and fix it then. But it. Yeah, I didn't mean that quite the way it sounded, but it is what it is now.
I really think it's important, and I really wanted to kind of demonstrate, because I do think it's important to demonstrate. Because I haven't really met anyone who didn't grasp that I was a dominant. I mean, I have most people that I talk to, at least, when I tell them that I am a dominant, they're like, "Well, yeah, I knew that." So I've never really been someone who's been accused of being like a submissive in any way.
Right.
So I really thought it was not really beholden, but a good thing. It was a good thing for me, I thought, to put this out there to say, look, dominants are vulnerable people. They can have their times when they're very vulnerable. They can have their times when they're arrogant and cocksure as hell. But that's a default setting for doms. That's like, I'm arrogant as hell. That's kind of the dom default. That's where you just don't.
And what we're trying to say is, it's okay, guys. It's really okay to want to just cuddle and snuggle. It's okay to have conversations that examine how you feel. It's okay to open up and talk to your partner and grow with your partner. That those things are all okay. You don't have to keep that tough ass exterior all the time. That's not what dominance actually is.
Not in my book anyway. I mean, maybe in some people's book it is. And I wish them the best of luck, but in my book it's not, because you cannot really, in my book, build fulfilling relationships from that.
And for those that are just, in the lifestyle to get your dick wet, I don't really have much advice for you other than grow up. And I might get a lot of hate mail for that one too, but
you can send it to me too, because I think that's just kind of shitty. But
yeah. Well, there's a lot of them, and some of them, they come in, they don't understand what it is, and then they learn, and everything goes fine, and it's more power to them. God bless you, whatever deity you worship, I don't care. But there's more and more and more and more I see that are just clueless idiots looking to get their dick wet. They tell you whatever they got to tell you to get there, and then they leave the poor woman or man we'll go with submissive, the poor submissive, all broken and fucked up because they thought it was something else and it wasn't. So
and I would even say that it's probably even more, in my opinion, because you are labeling yourself as a dominant. which means you are labeling yourself as someone who is capable of being in charge and in control. That is even more beholden on you to be a fully rounded human being.
Right.
Because you are saying, I am capable of being the lead on this. I am going to give the commands. I am going to, and if you are not capable of being in any way vulnerable or being at least able, and I can tell you, so people, okay, first off, I don't ever want people to think, oh my God, this Todd, he's got it all right. He knows. He is so communicative about his feelings. No.
Todd don't know
Todd
shit,
is
really.
a dumbass 90% of the time. And when he has to sit down and actually like verbalize and talk about his feelings, he kind of sucks at it and mumbles around and does not sound very coherent most of the time. So
hell, I'm no better.
But he is willing to sit in the chair and do it. He is willing to do the mumbling around and the trying and the stumbling over words and the fumbling and telling the same thing 4 times because he's really it's a tough thing to talk about how you feel.
And Doms, we believe, we understand, we know. It can feel like a really hot fucking seat when you start talking about emotions and feelings and all that stuff. You can be all kinds of scared. That's okay. That's human.
And you should be. And that's all right.
You should be.
And because they're uncomfortable and they're scared talking about their feelings too. Everybody is. Literally everybody. There's, and even submissives, males, females, dominants, males, females, any kink assignment you want to give them, any gender that you identify with, it's uncomfortable to talk about how you feel, especially when the person you're talking to about that, you're invested in them and emotionally. It is very tough, and it is always tough for literally everyone, but it is always very important to do it the best you can. And you're not going to, if you're a dominant male, and if you're a male in general, and you're certainly of a certain age, like where you start getting a little bit north of the 9th hole and into the back 9, like Paul and I,
fuck you.
Then it's even a little tougher because our generation certainly was never given those tools to work with.
No.
So
our generations were pretty fucking misogynistic.
Our generation was raised by a very patriarchal society, and you know, when you were a boy in gym and you hurt, you were told to suck it up and walk it off and quit being a little fucking pussy.
Yep, exactly.
Which is horrid and awful, and I don't know why we do it, but we don't. I hope we don't anymore.
Oh, we still do. We still do in society, but it's not as, I don't think it's as often. And I don't know that was always bad either, because I think now we rush in at every little bump and scrape and, oh no, poor Jimmy, poor Johnny, and poor Janie, they're hurt. No, they're really not. It's just a scrape on the fucking knee. Let them go out there and play.
Well, I think there's a way to approach that in a caring manner. With a child, there's a way to approach it and say, hey, what's the matter? Oh, I hurt my knee and it really, really hurts. That sucks. Let me see it. Oh,
yep.
Well, you know what?
Don't make a big deal out of it.
It bends. All right. It's a little bloody. Let's clean it up. I'm sure it looks like it's probably going to be okay. You go ahead and I think you can handle it. Okay. You know, there's an encouraging way to do that instead of an insulting way to do that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So that's my stance on dom vulnerability. I mean, and I only say dom vulnerability because submissives are not emotionally, but certainly within play, submissives are more comfortable being vulnerable because they generally are vulnerable during play. They're often restrained. They're in the position of receiving something, whatever that might be, whether it's impact or fire or, you know, but
see guys, did you just hear that? They're vulnerable.
The submissive partner is often more comfortable with vulnerability.
Correct. But also remember, they are vulnerable.
They're very vulnerable. Yeah.
Don't be an asshole.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what power exchange is really all about.
Yeah, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. As long as it's between you two, you negotiated it and it works. That's all that really matters.
Exactly.
If your submissive's going to be comfortable being vulnerable, you need to be comfortable being vulnerable, and it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be worried. It's okay to be a little bit jealous and work through it. All the human range of emotions is a wonderful and scary thing, and they're all good. Just learn how to cope and work through them. That's the biggest key to it.
There's no bad emotion. There's no such thing as a bad emotion. What you do with it determines many things, but the emotion itself is not bad, and all emotions are very natural. Happiness, sadness, jealousy, rage, all those are very natural emotions. It's just what you do with them, and the way you deal with them is you express them and you talk about them.
Correct. So the challenge this episode, because now it's a new thing that we're going to start, seeing how Todd started it on the last one. I'm going to blame Todd for this. The challenge this episode is be a little more vulnerable with your partner.
Yeah. Walk up to your partner. Just walk up to your partner. If you have a partner that you are emotionally involved with, sit down with them for 10 minutes and say, you know what, this is how I feel when I see you, or this is how I feel when I touch you, or this is how I feel when we do this, and see how it plays out for you. And I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. It'll help you a lot. It'll help you in general.
Right. Help you. That's the whole point. Getting to be a little more vulnerable helps you grow. And the more you grow, the stronger you become in the end.
Absolutely.
And that'll wrap this one up. See, we're trying to keep them a little shorter for you folks.
That's right.
Have a good one.
Take care. Be good to each other.